Hello, everyone. I hope you're fine and doing well. It's so wonderful to have you here with us today. Whether you're joining us from home, on your commute, or maybe just having a coffee, we're so glad you're taking this time to listen in. And as always, we're here to talk about a topic that's both intriguing and meaningful. I am Agnes, and I'm here with my friend and co-host, Jasper. How are you doing today, Jasper?
Hey, Agnes. I'm doing really well, thank you. And hello to all our listeners. I'm so excited for this conversation. Today's topic is one that I think almost everyone wonders about at some point. Agnes, do you want to give us a hint about what we're diving into?
Absolutely, Jasper. So today, we're exploring a question that has sparked endless debates, movies, books, and probably a million conversations between friends. The question is, does money buy happiness? Now, it's a question that can seem simple, but it's actually quite complex. And I think the answer can mean something different depending on who you ask. Don't you think?
Oh, definitely. It's one of those questions that touches on so many aspects of life: our needs, our dreams, our goals, and even our relationships. And it's such a good topic because, well, money is a part of our daily lives. Whether we're working, shopping, or even planning vacations, money plays a role in so much that we do. But does it really bring us happiness?
Exactly, Jasper. And I think that's why it's so important to talk about. So many of us grow up hearing different things about money. Some say money is the key to happiness, while others believe that money can't buy happiness. But what does it actually mean, and can we find a balance?
Great point, Agnes. And before we jump further into this, I just want to thank everyone tuning in. It's incredible to have you with us for this journey, and we really hope you'll take away some new ideas and maybe even some new perspectives by the end.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. We hope this podcast helps you think about this question in new ways. And as you listen, feel free to reflect on your own experiences. After all, the question of money and happiness is one that affects each of us in a unique way.
All right, so let's get started. Agnes, let's break it down a bit. When people say money can buy happiness, what do you think they mean by that? Or, I guess, what are some ways that money can contribute to happiness?
That's a great question, Jasper. I think one big reason people say this is because money does give us access to basic needs like food, shelter, and clothing. When we have these essentials, we can live comfortably without worrying about where our next meal will come from or whether we'll have a roof over our heads. For many people, having enough money to meet these basic needs can provide a real sense of security.
Yes, exactly. And that security can bring a certain peace of mind. When we don't have to worry about basic needs, we feel more relaxed, and maybe we're even able to enjoy life a bit more. So, in a way, money helps us create a foundation for happiness.
Right, Jasper? But of course, beyond the basics, there's also the idea of comfort and convenience. With enough money, we can buy things that make life easier or more enjoyable, like a nice place to live, transportation, or even a fun hobby. Money allows us to enjoy certain experiences that might not be possible otherwise, like travel, dining out, or learning new skills.
Exactly. Money can give us access to opportunities that bring joy or excitement. And even little things like going to a concert, buying a new book, or having a nice dinner with friends can make life feel more fulfilling. These are all ways money can add to our happiness in small but meaningful ways.
Absolutely, Jasper. And let's not forget that money can also help us support the people we care about. For instance, we can help family members, give gifts, or even donate to causes we believe in. It's often rewarding to use our money to make a difference for others, too. There's a certain happiness that comes from being able to share and contribute. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I love that point. Agnes, many people find happiness in giving back, whether it's helping out family or supporting a community. Knowing that we've helped someone else can bring a special kind of joy. It's a reminder that money isn't just about what we can get, but also about what we can give.
Absolutely, Jasper. So, when people say money can buy happiness, I think part of that comes from this idea that having enough money lets us focus on other aspects of life, like relationships, personal growth, and helping others. But then again, does that mean money alone can make us happy?
Good question. Agnes, it's a common saying that money alone isn't enough, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. Sure, money can make us feel secure, comfortable, or even free in some ways. But happiness also depends on things that money can't buy, like good friendships, love, purpose, and health.
Exactly, Jasper. No matter how much money we have, if we don't have meaningful relationships, a sense of purpose, or good health, we're likely to feel that something is missing. It's like there's a balance between material comfort and emotional fulfillment.
Yes, and I think that's why it's so interesting to discuss. Money is important, but it's not everything. We all know stories of people who are incredibly wealthy but unhappy, and others who have very little but live with joy and contentment. It really shows us that happiness is a bit more complicated than just dollars and cents.
Absolutely, Jasper. And that's why this topic is so powerful. It makes us think about what truly matters in life. We all want happiness, but sometimes we get caught up thinking that happiness is something we can buy or achieve just with money. And yet, often it's the simplest things, like spending time with loved ones or enjoying a beautiful day, that bring the greatest joy.
Yes, it's funny how that works. Sometimes, happiness comes from the moments we don't plan or pay for. It's the little surprises, the connections we make, or the small acts of kindness that really touch us. And that's a good reminder that while money can enhance our lives, it can't replace those deeper, meaningful experiences.
You're absolutely right, Jasper. I think it's so fascinating that sometimes the things that make us happiest are actually the simplest and often the ones that cost nothing at all. Just think about it, how often do we feel real happiness from just spending time with family, laughing with friends, or even enjoying a quiet moment by ourselves? Those things aren't about money, they're about presence and connection. It's almost like happiness itself has a certain simplicity, doesn't it?
Definitely, Agnes. It's that idea that the best things in life are free, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. When we're able to just live in the moment, to appreciate where we are and who we're with, there's a kind of happiness that money can't buy. But I wonder, Agnes, do you think this means that people who have a lot of money are always searching for that simplicity, or that maybe they don't have it as easily?
I think there's a good chance of that, Jasper. It seems like when people have so much money, they're always looking for something new or exciting to bring them that happiness, maybe a new car, a big house, a luxury vacation. But often, those things only bring a temporary feeling of joy. After a while, they're back to feeling like something's missing, and they might try to fill it with more things. It's almost as if the more they chase happiness through things, the more it slips away.
That's such a good point. And it's interesting because it suggests that sometimes having less can actually help us focus more on what really matters. When we're not constantly trying to upgrade our lives, we're more likely to appreciate what we already have. It's a simpler kind of joy, but maybe a deeper one, too.
Exactly, Jasper. It's like there's this whole idea of enough. When we feel that we have enough food, enough security, enough love, we can stop searching for more and start truly enjoying what we have. And I think that enough is different for everyone. Some people feel content with very little, while others might always feel like they need more, no matter how much they have.
Yes, and that feeling of enough seems to come more from within than from what we own. It's a mindset, right? Like, even someone with a small income might feel rich if they're surrounded by love, friends, and a sense of purpose. But on the other hand, if someone always feels like they're missing out or that they need more, no amount of money will fill that gap.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another part of this conversation that I think is so important: gratitude. Studies show that people who regularly practice gratitude, who take time to appreciate what they have, tend to feel happier overall. It's almost like the simple act of noticing the good things in life brings us a sense of fulfillment that's hard to buy. When we're grateful, we feel richer, even if nothing about our circumstances has changed.
That's a beautiful thought, Agnes. And I think gratitude can be such a powerful tool for happiness, regardless of how much money someone has. It shifts our focus from what we lack to what we already possess. And the funny thing is, the more we appreciate what we have, the less we feel like we're missing anything.
Exactly, Jasper. I think gratitude helps us realize that happiness isn't about constantly reaching for something new. It's often about seeing what's right in front of us. Even simple things like a warm meal, a sunny day, or a kind word from a friend can bring us joy if we take a moment to appreciate them. It's easy to overlook those things if we're always focused on what's next.
Yes, and that kind of mindset of focusing on the present and what we already have can help us lead happier lives. And you know, Agnes, this reminds me of something we hear often. People say, "I'll be happy when." Like, "I'll be happy when I get a new job," or "I'll be happy when I have a bigger house." But the problem is, once we reach those goals, there's always something else we want. So, in a way, happiness keeps getting pushed into the future.
Exactly, Jasper. It's like a never-ending cycle. If we always wait for the next big thing to make us happy, we might end up waiting our entire lives. Happiness doesn't have to be a destination. It can be something we experience here and now. And maybe that's one of the biggest lessons about money and happiness. While money can help us meet our needs and even bring us some enjoyment, lasting happiness comes from how we live each day.
I couldn't agree more, Agnes. And it's interesting to think about how this idea of day-to-day happiness is often shaped by our habits and routines. When we build little moments of joy and gratitude into our daily lives, whether it's a morning coffee, a walk outside, or even just a few deep breaths, we're creating a foundation for happiness that doesn't rely on anything material.
Yes, Jasper, and I think that's something anyone can work on, regardless of their financial situation. We all have the power to bring more happiness into our lives by changing our perspective. Instead of thinking about what we don't have, we can focus on the little things that bring us joy every day. And those small moments can add up to a much bigger feeling of happiness.
Exactly, Agnes. It's like investing in happiness in small but meaningful ways. And over time, it becomes part of who we are. And maybe that's one of the best ways to look at this question of money and happiness. While money can buy us comfort and security, the deeper happiness we're looking for often comes from within.
Well said, Jasper. And I think another key to this is understanding what truly brings us joy on a personal level. Some people feel happiest when they're surrounded by family. Others might find joy in creativity or learning something new. Knowing ourselves and what makes us happy helps us make choices that bring fulfillment, even if they don't involve spending money.
Yes, and when we focus on those personal sources of joy, we're less likely to get caught up in comparisons. It's easy to look at others and think, if only I had what they have, I'd be happy. But happiness isn't about keeping up with others. It's about discovering what fills our own hearts.
That's so true, Jasper. I think that's one of the biggest things people struggle with: comparison. When we're constantly looking at what others have, it's easy to feel like we're missing something in our own lives. But happiness isn't about matching someone else's life. It's about finding what genuinely fulfills us. When we let go of comparison, we give ourselves the freedom to appreciate what's uniquely good in our lives.
Exactly, Agnes. I think it's interesting how comparison can actually create this invisible barrier between us and happiness. It's like we're tricked into believing that happiness is something we can only achieve by catching up to others, when in reality, we have our own unique paths and joys that aren't the same as anyone else's. But letting go of that need to compare is easier said than done, right?
It is, Jasper. We're surrounded by images of success and happiness in movies, social media, even advertisements, and it's easy to think that we need to have exactly those things to be happy. But if we start focusing on our own lives and take time to recognize what we genuinely appreciate, we might realize that happiness is already right there. And that takes us back to gratitude. Noticing what we have right now without thinking about what anyone else has can make such a difference.
It really does, and I think it's empowering, too. When we learn to define happiness for ourselves, it's almost like reclaiming control over our lives. Instead of relying on money or comparisons, we're able to build a life based on our own values. That can be anything from spending quality time with loved ones to pursuing a passion, or even just slowing down and enjoying simple pleasures.
Exactly, Jasper. I think one of the biggest lessons in all of this is that happiness is less about external things and more about internal fulfillment. It's about finding those moments that feel meaningful to us and learning to really savor them. It could be as simple as having a quiet cup of tea in the morning or spending time on a hobby. When we fill our lives with moments like that, the need for external validation fades.
And isn't it fascinating how, when we talk about happiness, it often comes down to things that cost little or nothing at all? It's like there's a universal wisdom in the idea that true happiness is not about what we own, but how we feel about ourselves and our lives. Money can certainly add comfort and convenience, but at the core, it's the simple joys that keep us going.
Absolutely. And I think the beautiful thing is that these simple joys are accessible to everyone. We don't need to wait until we have a lot of money to start enjoying life. Small acts of kindness, spending time with people we love, or doing something creative can all bring that feeling of happiness right now. There is something truly powerful about understanding that happiness can be created in the present without waiting for some perfect future.
Right? And that also makes happiness more resilient. When our happiness isn't based on material things, we become less vulnerable to things outside our control. It's almost like we're building a more solid foundation for ourselves, a foundation based on things we can create and cultivate every day, no matter our financial situation.
Well put, Jasper. And maybe that's why, when people reflect on what truly makes them happy, they often talk about experiences and memories rather than possessions. A vacation spent with family, a gathering with friends, or even a meaningful conversation, these are the things that stay with us. They give us a feeling of connection and belonging, which is hard to put a price on.
Yes, those experiences often have a lasting impact on our well-being, and it makes sense, right? Possessions can bring temporary joy, but experiences become part of who we are. They shape our perspective and often help us grow in ways that material things can't. And I think, deep down, a lot of us know that. We remember the good times spent with friends and family far more vividly than any gadget or purchase.
That's so true. And Jasper, there's even research that shows people who invest in experiences rather than things tend to feel happier in the long run. It's as if the joy from experiences lingers because it's connected to memories, people, and personal growth. A memory of a sunset, a funny story with a friend, or an achievement we worked hard for, those moments become a part of us.
Exactly, Agnes. And it's fascinating to think about because it suggests that happiness is something we carry within us, built over time through experiences and relationships. And since these experiences don't always require money, it opens the door for anyone to create a meaningful, happy life without needing wealth.
Yes, and maybe that's the core of it, realizing that happiness is accessible no matter who we are or where we are in life. While money can certainly make life more comfortable, it's how we choose to spend our time, our attention, and our energy that really matters. Happiness grows from being present, appreciating small things, and staying true to ourselves.
And there's something liberating about that. Knowing that we don't have to chase material things to be happy gives us more freedom to focus on what we genuinely value. It could be spending time with family, helping others, learning new things, or just enjoying life's simple pleasures.
Yes, Jasper, you're so right. There's so much freedom in understanding that happiness is something we can cultivate on our own without waiting for some perfect set of circumstances. It's really about making the most of each day and finding joy in the little things. Sometimes it's even about shifting our mindset a bit, choosing to see the beauty around us, and practicing gratitude for what we already have. I think once we start doing that, life opens up in surprising ways.
Absolutely, Agnes. And when we realize that happiness is, in a way, a daily practice, it becomes less like a goal to reach and more like something we can engage with every day. By being intentional about our actions, relationships, and thoughts, we can build a kind of happiness that isn't easily shaken. It's amazing how a small act, like taking a few minutes each day to reflect on what went well, can make such a big difference over time.
That's so true, Jasper. Happiness often begins with simple habits, like noticing what makes us smile, or even pausing to appreciate a quiet moment. And the best part is that these habits are available to everyone, regardless of their financial situation. I think that's one of the most powerful things about happiness. It's inclusive. You don't need to be wealthy to be happy. You just need to open your heart and mind to the moments that bring you peace, joy, and connection.
Yes, it really levels the playing field. Anyone, anywhere, can find happiness in their daily life by focusing on things that matter to them. And speaking of connection, I think that's one of the most vital sources of happiness for many people, feeling connected to others. Whether it's a warm conversation, sharing a meal, or spending time with loved ones, these moments create a deep sense of belonging and purpose that money just can't buy.
Exactly. Relationships are a cornerstone of happiness. Just think about the laughter shared with friends, the support from family, or even the kindness of strangers. Those experiences give us so much meaning and fulfillment. When we prioritize relationships, we build a strong, supportive network that we can rely on through both good times and challenging ones. And the beautiful thing is that relationships thrive not on money, but on time, attention, and empathy.
Yes, and that connection also reminds us that happiness isn't just about ourselves. It's also about lifting up others, creating a positive impact, and contributing to the lives around us. When we help someone, even in a small way, it often brings a sense of joy and purpose that's deeply fulfilling. Happiness, in that way, becomes a shared experience, a cycle where giving and receiving blend together.
Beautifully put, Jasper. Happiness does grow when it's shared. There is something incredibly uplifting about making someone else smile, whether through a kind word, a thoughtful gesture, or simply being there for them. In a world where we're often told that success is about competition and accumulation, it's refreshing to realize that true joy often comes from connection, community, and compassion.
Yes, and I think that's a wonderful takeaway for anyone listening today. Happiness doesn't have to be complicated or far away. It can start with something as small as reaching out to a friend, practicing gratitude, or setting aside time for something you enjoy. These are things we all can do, and over time, they can lead to a much more fulfilled, content life.
Exactly, Jasper. To everyone listening, I hope you're feeling inspired to start your own happiness journey. Whether it's building stronger relationships, appreciating small moments, or letting go of the things you don't need, there are countless ways to bring more joy into your life. And the beauty of it is that these choices are available to each of us every day.
And if there's one thing we'd like you to remember, it's that happiness isn't a final destination or a trophy to win. It's something we can find and nurture in everyday moments. Sometimes, it's just about being present, focusing on the good around us, and making choices that bring us peace and joy.
That's so true, Jasper. I think this has been such a meaningful conversation, and I hope everyone listening feels encouraged to look at happiness in a new light. Remember, it's not about having everything. It's about appreciating what we do have and creating more of those moments that bring us joy and fulfillment.
Yes, and thank you to everyone who joined us today. It means so much to have this time with you, sharing ideas and hopefully sparking some thoughts on what happiness means to each of you. We truly appreciate the support and time you've spent with us.
Yes, thank you all so much. It's a pleasure and an honor to connect with you in this way, and we hope this conversation has left you with some insights and inspiration. Remember, happiness is yours to create and enjoy every day.
Wishing you all the best on your journey to happiness, however that looks for you. And remember, we're here with you, learning and growing together.
Take care, everyone, and keep spreading those moments of joy. Until next time, stay happy, stay connected, and always cherish the simple things.
Goodbye, everyone. May your path be filled with warmth, laughter, and, of course, true happiness.